Is everybody ready?
Yeah!
We'll get the party started in just a minute.
All right, let's get the party started. How's everybody doing?
Yeah! All right!
Welcome to Fullerton.
Thank you.
My name's Nick Dunlap. I'm the mayor of Fullerton, and it brings me great honor to welcome you all here to our city to celebrate a true, living, hometown rock and roll legend today.
All right!
So this is a party, not a funeral procession. We're going to keep the speeches to a minimum, but we're going to make sure that we do enough to really pay homage to Mike, his legacy, and everything that he's done for our city in the world of music. So I'd first like to introduce, well, actually let me back up a second, because as we were thinking about this event and how to properly, really honor Mike's legacy, we started looking back at his time in Fullerton, and that started out in a middle-class home right across the street from Chapman Park. And of course, he attended Commonwealth Elementary School, the Dera Vista Junior High, and ultimately Troy High School. And he could tell you about what happened at Troy. But I think the important thing to note is that there are so many ties to the community, here in Fullerton. And so I'd first like to introduce our first speaker today, a man by the name of Miguel Pulido, who was a longtime mayor of Santa Ana, and who grew up with Mike as well, in addition to being his neighbor as well. And he has some comments to kick us off here. So Miguel, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Dunlap. Look, I've had the privilege to be Mike's friend and Christine's friend and Julian and Johnny, and then my family, Laura, Miguelito, David, Isabel, for a long, long time. And what happened is they were looking for a house in Floral Park. And we were looking for a house in Floral Park 24 years ago. And this guy kept showing up. And every house that I tried to put an offer on, he would beat me. And he ended up with like 3 houses. But I think I ended up with the best one at the end of the day. However, what occurred is they were fixing all the houses because the Nesses, they like to do things right, especially Mike and Christine. So at one point I said, they don't have a house to live in. They have 3 houses, but they're redoing them all. So I said, why don't you move in? They moved in one of our guest cottages that we have, and we became lifelong friends. Our kids grew up together. Now, the years go by and you see what's important in life. And what's important in life is to have friends like Mike Ness. And what he's done for the music industry, what he's done for Fullerton and all of Orange County and beyond, really, is beyond words. I'll tell you, every single lyric that he writes with feeling. Mm-hmm. Every tone, every note, he feels it in his soul.
Yep.
This guy is the real deal. Mm-hmm. He was born.
Yeah.
He was born an icon, and I'm just privileged to be a part of putting this thing here together, because Daisy Perez, who now works here in Fullerton, used to work for me in Santa Ana. Talk about a small world, right? So he says, look, the mayor wants to honor Mike. Can you get Mike on the phone? So I got Mike on the phone, and I got Mayor Nick on the phone, and Mayor Nick, I have to say nice things about you because it's your vision that's doing this kind of stuff. There's a lot of cities that don't do this, and we should do this more often. Honor those that are worthy of honor.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I think we have a few more folks that are going to speak, but thank you, Councilman, as well. I know you're going to introduce that or give that to Christine in a moment. He's already. So let's keep this party going, and Mike Ness Day, what a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. So the next speaker we have today is our president of the board of directors here at the Museum Center, which is just behind you. And I am going to invite you all back because in April of 2025, we're going to be launching the Fullerton Punk OC and Beyond exhibit. It's going to not only honor Social Distortion, but Adolescence, DI, the Mechanics, and so many of these other bands that were pivotal and really catapulting punk rock into the next stratosphere as far as music goes, and making it, kind of the staying, giving it the staying power that it's had to this day. But with that, we've had the opportunity, the city, to work with the Museum Center in the process, and so I'd like to introduce Janet Buzan, who's their board of directors, president of their board of directors, to make some comments.
Thank you, Mary Dunlap. I'm proud to welcome you here as part of the museum in partnership with the City of Fullerton to celebrate Mike Ness Day. For those of you who came from out of town, Fullerton is a very unique city full of musical history, and we are proud to honor that history at the Fullerton Museum. Our museum is home of the Leo Fender Gallery, and over the years we have produced dozens of exhibits celebrating music history. As Mayor Dunlap mentioned, we are proud to continue our efforts next year in April 2025 for the exhibit Punk Fullerton. And if you have picked up one of these, please scan the QR code, share your story with us so that we can share it out with everyone else at that exhibit. Our museum is also very proud. We provide Rockstar Academy, a program that teaches children how to play the guitar. This experience provides inspiration to young students to develop a love and passion for the guitar and music. And just as Mike Ness had a dream, we hope to be the spark that encourages children in Fullerton to follow their own dreams and become musical legends for future generations. As always, our exhibits and our programs are made possible by the incredible support of the Fullerton community and people like you, and we are forever grateful. So now we at the museum offer heartfelt congratulations to you, Fullertonian Mike Ness, on your special day of recognition and for making an amazing musical career that you shared with the world. Please accept our sincere thanks for your gracious acceptance of being here today, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike!
Now please join me again in welcoming the person who took the initiative to honor Mr. Ness and has worked tirelessly on this Mike Ness Day celebration, our Fullerton Mayor, the Honorable Nick Dunlap.
All right, so now you get a speech, but we made it pretty good to this point. So, first, I want to thank everyone for coming out to help us celebrate Mike today. And I want to also take time to especially thank some of the folks who make this event happen. First, I'm going to give some names, and if we could applaud at the end, I'd really appreciate it. So we first have Almquist Development, the Fullerton POA, Orange County Power Authority, Learn to Forget Clothing, and Bootleggers Brewery, with also a special thanks to Daisy Perez and Miguel Polito. So how about a round of applause? It's funny because we have our State of the City program tomorrow, but this event right here was planned first, and I have to say, if this isn't the state of our community, then what is? The Chamber of Commerce actually wanted to do the event today, but we said, no, it's got to wait till Thursday because we've got bigger fish to fry. Don't tell them I said that. It's interesting because as I look around, Fullerton, and I think what makes Fullerton so special is the deep roots and history that so many people have in this town. And whether that's, Fender guitars, or punk rock, or baseball, or there's just so many different parts of our community that make it so special. And you kind of look around and you see it's like a multi-generational reunion from Troy High School and East Fullerton and all these other places across town. It's kind of funny. But, Fullertonians are proud people, and I think it's because our hometown is the birthplace of the electric guitar. The heart of the punk rock explosion in the 70s and 80s, and of course the home of Social Distortion.
Absolutely.
A love for music that goes back to days where places like Goodies, Ichabod's, and the Galaxy Roller Rink, hosted crazy shows. Of course, I'm not old enough to remember those, but I get to hear about them from my parents and old school punk rock flyers that I come across. And man, by the time I was old enough to go to Apartments, Ichabod's has been a Burger King for the better part of a decade. So, yeah, I still can't believe REM and Social Distortion have both played there. That just blows my mind. But I think beyond our love for music is our love for our community, and that's what brings us here today. Because we're able to celebrate a living legend who is among our greatest exports to the world, right there with the Fender Stratocaster. I'm talking, of course, about none other than Mike Ness. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's pretty much impossible to grow up here in town and not have a Mike Ness story. And I can tell you that I've had people plenty older than me approach me at business conferences, say, oh, you're from Fullerton, oh, do you know Social Distortion and Mike Ness? And I can't repeat those stories because this is an all-ages crowd in some cases, but you can imagine I've heard some pretty good ones. And as a kid at Troy High School, I know with some of my friends, it was our favorite thing to do to go into the library and look up the old yearbooks from like the 70s and 80s and to see the Mike Nesses and the Dennis Donnells and others over time. It was just so special, I think, as a kid who just loved and enjoyed the music, to be able to see that, hey, these guys went to the same school as us. It's like, made it so much more cool and more impactful. But, it's interesting because as people, we obviously talk about Mike, we talk about Social Distortion, and you can't talk about that without talking about Dennis Donnell. I believe we have some members of the Donnell family who are here today, and no doubt that although Dennis is no longer with us, he's smiling down, grateful, and probably laughing that his friend, Mike is now getting the key to the city that they once roamed together. From the train tracks in East Fullerton on into downtown. But we're very grateful for the Donnell family to be here, and I would ask that you recognize them with a round of applause as well.
Absolutely, yeah, Dennis.
So I first heard Social Distortion when I was 10 years old, and I think about that time it was the Summer Between Heaven and Hell album. And fortunately, I had a good friend who was here today with his family. He had an older brother that was about 10 years older, and so we would sneak into the older brother's room and listen to the old school albums and get to hear Mommy's Little Monster, the self-titled album, Prison Bound, and so many more, and we were hooked. And of course, that was before the internet, so we had to go to Black Hole Records, Bionic Records, and to buy the bootlegs and posters and memorabilia and stuff. But again, it was just that Fullerton connection, I think, that made their music so much more important. And I've since had the opportunity to see Social Distortion in concert dozens of times. I think it's really special that actually, my buddy's my buddy's brother-in-law who took me to the first concert is actually here today with his family as well. So.
When is he playing in Fullerton?
Well, we'll get him there. We'll get there. But I want to ask. by show of hands, how many people here today are born and raised in Fullerton? Okay, that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. We won't hold that against you. I think the interesting thing is we all have these commonalities in these stories because Fullerton's not a small town, but it is small like that. Mike's staying power as a musician is attributed in part due to his knack for songwriting, bringing in his punk rock roots and love for rock and roll, rockabilly, and country, and his lyrics propelled by powerful words and storytelling, an account of youth, anger, love, rebellion, and heartbreak. True raw emotions. From Mommy's Little Monster to White Light, White Heat to solo albums, touring, and more, Mike has become an icon and taken Fullerton, Orange County with him in the process. Very few musicians have been able to achieve the crossover success and appeal that Mike Ness and Social Distortion have, but it's a testament to his artistic vision, creativity, and staying power. In speaking with some of Mike's friends ahead of today's event, I heard him described as the coolest guy in the room, regardless of whether it was the punk rock Mike or the greaser Mike. And I heard that he is a rowdy guy not to be messed with. But I think what's most telling, and Tim Mag, I saw you earlier, I think you're in the back, but I was talking to Tim yesterday, and he said something that really I think is very fitting. And he said, people love the rags to riches tale, but this is rags to riches story. It's just not a story, it's truth, it's reality. And I think that's what makes it so relatable. So, speaking with Mike a few weeks ago, as he talked about growing up in Fullerton and how much the city shaped him and his band, from the heights of rock stardom, here's someone who has run the same streets as you and I. And ironically, he mentioned that he grew up across the street from Chapman Park, and that's just up the block from where I first heard Social Distortion all those years ago. So we'll close. I'm almost done. Almost there, guys. But so for those who aren't fans, thank you for coming. The band, I'll tell you a little bit about them. They formed in 1979. Mike and Dennis were enrolled at Troy High School, and what you might not know is that Mike was not the original singer. After early turnover, Mike assumed the lead guitar, lead singer role, and the rest is history. As a testament to his character, he valued friendship over musicianship and welcomed his friend Dennis Donnell to the band, even though he hadn't quite learned to play the guitar yet. But he was a quick study, and the band soon began to play local shows around town, and their first album, Mommy's Little Monster, was actually recorded on Christmas Eve, just 11 days after I was born. And since then, they've released 7 studio albums, a live album, and Mike has released 2 solo albums. They've been a mainstay on the road, touring internationally, and touring consistently over the past 4 decades, and they're set to embark on another national tour this week. More than a Fullerton legend, Mike is a rock and roll legend. So, we celebrate the man and the music, but the man himself has overcome his own personal share of demons to get where he is today. A true testament to the power of perseverance and stick-with-itness. Mike has recently beaten tonsil cancer, and we are so proud to recognize his many accomplishments.
All right, Mike!
So, Mike, I'm going to ask you to come on to this one, because we're almost there.
God.
Happy birthday, Mike!
Happy birthday, Mike!
So earlier today, we presented you with a painting, an original canvas, a work of art by local artist Germs, and it's going to be housed in our Fullerton Museum Center until you're ready for us to ship it to you. And we're going to be honoring your legacy again, along with others from Fullerton punk rock history in April of 2025. But I would like to point out that the piece of art that's up in the gallery, showcases the roots of punk rock with some of the old school that actually I just learned Mike used to design their old school flyers. So he was quite proud of that. That's before Photoshop and clip art too. So those were some skills. Probably had to use the Xerox, right? I mean, that's old school cut and paste. So, but you can see that painting inside the gallery. But as we're here today, there's one thing I can hear in my mind, and that's life goes by so fast. You only want to do what you think is right. Close your eyes and it's past, the story of my life.
Yeah!
No truer words have ever been written. So with that, it's my honor and privilege on behalf of the city of Fullerton and all of its residents to present you with the key to the city.
Yeah! All right, Mike! To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mike.
Thank you, Mayor Dunlap, Miguel. Thank you so much. Janet, thank you. How's everybody doing?
Yeah!
Let us not ask what the city can do for us, but what we can do for the city. That was not my mentality back then, that unintentionally things happen, and I survived.
Yes.
A lot of things, and 40 years ago, they might have wanted to lock me up and throw away the key.
No way.
But things change.
Yes, they did.
And now I got a key. What exactly is this? I'm in, yeah? I'm in inner sanctum. Yeah, okay. All right. After hours. Yeah. City vault. Yeah. I'll help you count the money.
It's a little overwhelming. Yeah, this is a little emotional.
We love you, Mike.
Had nothing but fond memories of growing up in this town. I grew up on the east side, but I spent a lot of time. Our first house, when my parents moved us here, was 1963 or something. A little house on Malvern. We rented the back house from an older woman who was our babysitter. And by then I was 5 years old and spent a lot of time alone at the babysitter's house, and she had this bedroom with a radio and all this like religious art on the wall, and I mean, I guess it was like nudity, you know, like the angels are naked, or I don't know. So it's like, you know, it was like eroticism and rock and roll, and I was 5 years old, and this is what I want to do. This is music did something for me. My home life was not that good, and music provided me something to keep my mind focused and pursue a dream. And Fullerton enabled that. You know, a lot of that was growing up in the 70s. You know, it was a lot more of live and let live. That's what I remember. And that's what I miss now. Live and let live. We all got different views, political views, whatever. Different cultures, different backgrounds. But I remember that. Live and let live. And Fullerton enabled that, at least until I became a punk rocker. Then it got a little dangerous. It was dangerous being in Orange County and roaming the streets looking the way we did. But fortunately, I have the personality type that if you tell me no, you can't do something, not only am I going to do it, I'm going to succeed at it.
Yeah! Talking there!
And then I'm going to say how you like me now. Yeah. I had a railroad tracks behind my house we spent a lot of time on, playing on the railroad tracks, the orange groves. Later on as a teenager, a lot of what happened in the music scene was just about a square mile of where we are right now. Dennis and I would, here's a little tip, I'm not suggesting this to any youngsters, but you know, a black leather motorcycle jacket, when it's zipped up, you got 3 pockets. They all hold a 12-ounce Budweiser can. So you're loaded at all times with that. But Dennis and I would walk down the railroad tracks from his house to Fullerton, to Harbor Boulevard and Commonwealth, behind Brown's Pawn Shop. There was a little studio where a band called the Mechanics used to practice every night. And that was like a hub of this early punk scene. They were the older guys, and we looked up to them. And they were cool, and they drove V-dub buses, and they were just the cool guys. We wanted to be like them. And I'm trying. Always trying. But that band shaped me just as much as the Rolling Stones or the Ramones.
Absolutely.
The guitar tones, the rhythms, they would come out at a Yorba Linda Kager party, high school party. There's only like 8 punk rockers at the whole thing. But they would come out and say, we're the Mechanics, and we don't play no fucking slow songs. Never forget that. anyways, nothing but fond memories of growing up here. Whether I was in East Fullerton or downtown or, you know, I remember riding the big wheel down Hillcrest Park. Yeah. Get some speed in that bitch. Lastly, I just can't express my gratitude to everyone who showed up in the city for recognizing Dennis Social Distortion. Dennis is my partner in crime, man, back in the day. I mean, he wasn't doing crimes with me, but he was figuratively my partner in crime. We would drive to Hollywood on a Tuesday night, see some bands play, and come back to school the next day and tell everyone about it. And I'm sure he's getting a tickle out of this for sure. Yeah. I'd like to thank my wife, who, behind every great man is a better woman. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Say a few words.
Usually I'll have at least a few words to say. Just want to thank my family, Michael, all of you guys. I grew up as a punk rocker as well, and it's a special community, and I just know how much fans mean to Mike. And just thank you for the years and decades of support so much.
I think that's about it. And then, once again, just want to thank you guys so much.
Yeah, Mike! Gotta go, Mike! Yeah!
This stuff doesn't happen. It's not supposed to happen. But, like I said, things change. And, man, what a ride it's been.
Give him a guitar!
Yeah, I mean, I'm 62 today, but I'm living to 102. So we got 40 more years of social D. Thank you, buddy.
Mike, congratulations!
Mike Ness, the Johnny Cash of punk.
The city portion of the program, but we have Greg Antista on the Lonely Streets, and also Kid Ramos are going to be playing shortly, so please stay tuned for more music and entertainment. And again, I just want to thank you all for coming out to make this such a special day. We're very grateful.
Yeah!